The morning sun cast long shadows across the parking lot as Jasmine pulled into the community bank on Maple Street. She gripped the steering wheel of her old Honda Civic and took a deep breath. Today was important. Today she would finally open a business account for the bakery she had been dreaming about since she was 12 years old. At 24, Jasmine had saved every penny from her job at the hospital, working double shifts as a nursing assistant while perfecting her recipes at home. Her grandmother's red velvet cake had won 3 county fair competitions, and everyone who tasted her lemon bars begged her to sell them. Now, with $8,000 in savings, she was ready to make her dream real. She checked her reflection in the rearview mirror, smoothing down her blazer. Her mother had always told her to dress professionally when handling business matters. Jasmine wanted to be taken seriously. She grabbed her folder containing all her paperwork, business plan, and letters of recommendation from community members who had tried her baked goods. Her hands trembled slightly with excitement as she walked toward the bank entrance. The lobby was quiet and cool, with marble floors that echoed her footsteps. A few customers sat in the waiting area, and 2 tellers worked behind the counter. Jasmine approached the reception desk where a young woman with bright red lipstick greeted her with a smile. "Good morning. How can we help you today?" "Hi, I'd like to open a business checking account," Jasmine said, trying to keep her voice steady and confident. The receptionist typed something into her computer. "Wonderful. Let me see who's available to help you. One moment, please." She picked up the phone and spoke quietly. After a minute, she hung up and gestured toward a row of offices. "Mr. Derek Thompson will be right with you. You can have a seat over there." Jasmine sat in one of the leather chairs and watched people come and go. An older couple walked out smiling, and a businessman in an expensive suit rushed past talking on his phone. She felt out of place, but she reminded herself that she belonged here just as much as anyone else. Her business plan was solid. Her savings were legitimate. She had every right to be here. "Miss Williams?" A tall man with slick-back hair in a navy suit approached her. He had a wide smile that showed too many teeth. "I'm Derek Thompson, business account specialist. Please, come to my office." Jasmine followed him down a hallway to a small office with a glass wall overlooking the lobby. Derek sat behind his desk and gestured for her to sit across from him. The nameplate on his desk confirmed his name and title. Behind him, various certificates and awards hung on the wall. "So, you're interested in opening a business account?" Derek asked, leaning back in his chair. His eyes scanned her appearance quickly, and Jasmine noticed something shift in his expression. His smile became slightly less genuine. "Yes, I'm starting a bakery," Jasmine said, placing her folder on the desk. "I've been planning this for years. I have my business plan here, my initial investment amount, and references from the community." Derek barely glanced at the folder. "A bakery? That's nice. A lot of those fail in the first year, you know. Very competitive industry." He opened a drawer and pulled out some forms. "But let's see what we can do for you. How much are you planning to deposit initially?" $8,000, Jasmine said proudly. It had taken her 3 years to save that amount. Derek's eyebrows rose slightly. $8,000 in cash? "No, I have a cashier's check from my savings account at First National." Derek tapped his pen against the desk. "You know, business accounts are quite different from personal accounts. There are fees, minimum balance requirements, and various regulations. For someone starting out, it can be overwhelming." He spoke slowly, as if explaining something to a child. Jasmine felt a flicker of irritation, but kept her voice polite. "I've researched all of that. I understand the fee structure. That's why I chose this bank. Your business checking account has reasonable fees for small businesses." "Well, yes, but there's more to it than what's on our website," Derek said. He pulled out several documents and spread them across the desk. "There are federal regulations, tax reporting requirements, and security measures we have to implement for any business account, especially for cash-intensive businesses like bakeries." "I understand," Jasmine said. "I'm prepared for all of that." Derek studied her for a moment, his expression unreadable. You know what? Let me be honest with you. I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of small businesses come through here. The ones that succeed are the ones that have proper financial guidance from the start. He leaned forward, his voice taking on a confidential tone. I want to help you succeed. I really do. But to give you the best chance, I'd recommend our premium business account package. Jasmine frowned. I don't see that option on your website. It's not advertised publicly. We reserve it for clients who we think have serious potential. It comes with dedicated financial advising, fraud protection, and enhanced services. Derek pulled out a glossy brochure from his drawer. The setup fee is $1,500, but it's worth it. You'll have access to resources that regular account holders don't get. Jasmine looked at the brochure. Something felt wrong. The brochure looked professional, but the details were vague. Can I think about it? I really just came in for a standard business checking account today. Derek's smile tightened. Of course, but I should tell you, we can only guarantee approval for the premium package. Standard business accounts require extensive documentation and credit checks that can take weeks. Sometimes they're denied altogether. The premium package guarantees immediate approval and account activation today. Why would it be different? Jasmine asked. My credit score is good. I have all my documentation. It's complicated, Derek said, waving his hand dismissively. Banking regulations, risk assessment models, that sort of thing. Look, I'm trying to help you here. If you want to walk out today with an active business account and start operating your bakery, the premium package is your best option. Jasmine felt pressure building in her chest. This wasn't what she had researched. This wasn't what the bank's website had described. Can I speak to a manager about this? Derek's expression hardened for just a second before the smile returned. I am the senior business specialist here. The manager will just tell you the same thing I'm telling you. But hey, if you want to risk the standard application and possibly wait weeks or get denied, that's your choice. I just hate to see young entrepreneurs miss opportunities because they didn't take advantage of the resources available to them. Jasmine gathered her folder. I need to think about this. Can you give me information about the standard business checking account? The one advertised on your website for $95 to open? Derek sighed. Sure. He printed out a single sheet with basic information. But really, consider what I'm offering. I don't extend this to everyone. I'm going out on a limb here because I think you have potential. Jasmine took the paper and stood up. Thank you for your time. I'll be in touch. As she walked out of the office, she felt Derek's eyes on her back. Something about the entire interaction felt wrong. The way he had dismissed her paperwork, the mysterious premium account that wasn't on the website, the pressure to make an immediate decision, and especially the way he had looked at her when she first walked in. It all felt wrong. She sat in her car for 10 minutes, staring at the bank entrance. Her phone buzzed with a text from her best friend, Keisha. How did it go? Are you officially a business owner? Jasmine didn't know how to respond. She felt confused and discouraged. Instead of texting back, she called. Hey girl, what happened? You sound upset, Keisha said immediately. I don't know, something weird just happened. Jasmine explained the entire meeting, the premium account, the pressure tactics, and the dismissive attitude. Keisha was quiet for a moment. That sounds like a scam, or at least really shady. My cousin had something similar happen at a different bank. They tried to get her to pay for services that were either free or didn't exist. But he's a bank employee at a legitimate bank. Why would he risk his job? People do shady things all the time, especially when they think they can get away with it. Did he give you anything in writing about this premium account? Jasmine looked at the brochure. Just this vague brochure. It doesn't have specific details or pricing. Girl, trust your gut. If it feels wrong, it probably is. Why don't you try another bank? Or at least go back and ask to speak to the actual manager. Jasmine thought about it. Maybe I will, but I want to do some research first. Something about this doesn't sit right with me. That evening, Jasmine sat at her kitchen table with her laptop open. She searched for information about the bank's business accounts and found the standard options clearly listed on their website. There was no mention of any premium package. The basic business checking account had a setup fee of $95, exactly as she had originally researched. She checked consumer review sites and found no mention of any premium business packages at this bank. Next, she searched Derek Thompson's name along with the bank name. His professional profile came up on the bank's website, confirming he worked there as a business account specialist. But then she found something interesting. On a local business forum, someone had posted a question 2 months ago asking if anyone else had been offered a premium business package at Maple Street Community Bank. Several people replied saying they had similar experiences with a bank employee who pressured them into paying for upgraded services that seemed unnecessary or suspicious. One person wrote that they had paid the fee and later discovered they had a standard account with no special services. When they tried to complain, they were told no such premium package existed. Another person said they had reported the employee to the bank manager, but never heard back about the results of any investigation. Jasmine's hands shook as she read the posts. This wasn't just a misunderstanding or aggressive sales tactics. This was a deliberate scam. Derek Thompson was taking advantage of people, and based on the forum posts, he seemed to target people he thought wouldn't push back or complain. Young people just starting out, people who might not feel confident challenging a bank employee. She thought about the way Derek had looked at her, the dismissive tone, the pressure tactics. She thought about how he had barely glanced at her carefully prepared business plan. Had he done this to her because of her age, or because she was a young black woman who he assumed wouldn't question his authority or report him? The more Jasmine thought about it, the angrier she became. She had worked so hard for this opportunity. She had saved every penny, perfected her recipes, written a detailed business plan, and built relationships in the community. She had done everything right, and this man had tried to take advantage of her, to steal $1,500 from her through lies and manipulation. But Jasmine wasn't going to let this go. Her grandmother had always taught her to stand up for herself and others. If Derek Thompson was scamming her, he was probably scamming other people too. People who might not have the resources or knowledge to fight back. People who might pay that $1,500 believing they needed to, then never receive the services they were promised. Jasmine made a decision. She would report Derek Thompson, but she would do it the right way. She would gather evidence, document everything, and make sure her complaint couldn't be ignored or dismissed. She took screenshots of the forum posts, saved the information from the bank's website, and wrote down every detail she could remember from her meeting with Derek, including exact quotes and the timestamps of when things happened. The next morning, Jasmine called the bank's corporate customer service line. She explained what had happened and asked to file a formal complaint. The representative sounded concerned and took down all her information. They gave her a case number and said someone from the corporate compliance department would contact her within 3 business days. 3 days passed, then a week. Jasmine called back twice and was told her complaint was being reviewed, but nothing seemed to be happening. She felt frustrated and powerless. How many other people had Derek scammed in that week? How long had he been getting away with this? Jasmine decided to take a different approach. She contacted the State Banking Regulatory Agency and filed a complaint there as well. She sent them all her documentation, including the screenshots from the forum and her notes from the meeting. She also reached out to the local Better Business Bureau. But still, nothing seemed to happen. The regulatory agency sent her a letter acknowledging receipt of her complaint and saying it would be investigated, but provided no timeline. The Better Business Bureau had no record of similar complaints against the bank. Frustrated but determined, Jasmine tried one more avenue. She contacted the consumer protection reporter at the local news station. Channel 7 had a segment called Your Voice Matters, where they investigated consumer complaints and scams. She sent them a detailed email explaining what had happened, including all her documentation. 2 days later, her phone rang from an unknown number. "Hello, is this Jasmine Williams? This is Rebecca Chen from Channel 7 News. I received your email about your experience at Maple Street Community Bank, and I'd like to learn more." Jasmine's heart raced. "Yes, that's me. Thank you for calling. Your story caught my attention because we've actually received several other complaints about practices at that bank branch. Would you be willing to speak with me on camera about your experience?" Jasmine hesitated. Going public meant putting herself out there, potentially facing criticism or retaliation. But it also meant her story might actually make a difference. "Yes," she said firmly, "I'll do it." Over the next week, Rebecca Chen proved to be thorough and professional. She interviewed Jasmine on camera, reviewed all her documentation, and explained that the news station had been quietly investigating complaints about Maple Street Community Bank for 2 months. Jasmine's complaint had provided additional evidence they needed. Rebecca explained that they had discovered Derek Thompson had been running this scam for at least a year, targeting primarily young people and minorities who were opening their first business accounts. He had created fake brochures for a premium account package that didn't exist, collected setup fees ranging from $1,500 to $3,000, then opened standard accounts for the victims. The extra money went into accounts he controlled. He had stolen an estimated $75,000 from at least 30 different victims. The investigation had been difficult because many victims didn't realize they had been scammed. They thought they had paid for premium services and simply didn't know what those services were supposed to look like. Others were embarrassed or didn't think anyone would believe them if they complained about a respected bank employee. "Your willingness to come forward and speak on camera is incredibly brave," Rebecca told Jasmine during one of their meetings. "A lot of victims don't want to go public, but your story could help others recognize the scam and come forward." "I just want to make sure he doesn't do this to anyone else," Jasmine said. "And I want people to know that if something feels wrong when they're dealing with financial institutions, they should trust that instinct and ask questions." The Channel 7 news team worked with law enforcement and state banking regulators to build their case. They set up a hidden camera investigation where a producer, posing as a young entrepreneur, met with Derek Thompson and recorded him making the same pitch about the premium account package. The video clearly showed Derek pushing the fake premium account, dismissing questions, and pressuring the undercover producer to pay the fee immediately. On a Thursday evening in late September, Channel 7 News aired their special investigation. The segment opened with Jasmine telling her story. She sat in the bakery space she had finally rented, surrounded by her baking equipment, and calmly explained what had happened when she tried to open a business account. "He made me feel like I wasn't smart enough to understand banking, like I needed his special help," Jasmine said on camera. "But really, he was just trying to steal my money I had worked 3 years to save." The segment showed the hidden camera footage of Derek making his pitch to the undercover producer. It showed interviews with 3 other victims who had paid the fee and received nothing in return. It included a statement from the bank's corporate office claiming they were shocked and appalled by the allegations and were cooperating fully with law enforcement. The segment also featured an interview with a state banking regulator explaining how consumers could protect themselves and what red flags to watch for. The reporter emphasized that legitimate banks don't pressure customers into immediate decisions, that all fees and services should be clearly explained in writing, and that consumers should never feel intimidated or dismissed when asking questions. The impact was immediate and powerful. By the next morning, Channel 7 had received calls from 15 additional victims. The state attorney general's office announced they were opening a criminal investigation. The bank suspended Derek Thompson pending the investigation, and their corporate office issued a formal apology. Social media erupted with people sharing the story and discussing their own experiences with predatory practices at financial institutions. Jasmine's phone wouldn't stop ringing with messages of support and interview requests from other news outlets. But the most meaningful moment came 3 days after the segment aired. Jasmine received a call from the bank's regional president. "Ms. Williams, I want to personally apologize for what happened to you. What Mr. Thompson did was unconscionable and does not represent the values of our institution. We are conducting a complete review of our branch operations and implementing new oversight procedures." "I appreciate that," Jasmine said carefully. "But what about the other victims? Are they getting their money back?" "We are in the process of identifying everyone who was affected and will be issuing full refunds plus compensation for any damages or losses they suffered as a result of this fraud. Additionally, we would like to offer you a formal apology and make things right with you specifically." The bank ended up refunding all victims and paying additional compensation. Derek Thompson was arrested and charged with multiple counts of theft and fraud. The local prosecutor told reporters that the case was strong thanks to the documentation victims had provided and the video evidence from the news investigation. For Jasmine, the experience was bittersweet. She was glad Derek had been stopped and that other victims would get their money back. She was proud that she had stood up and spoken out, but she was also exhausted from the attention and just wanted to focus on her bakery. With help from a different bank, one that treated her with respect and professionalism, Jasmine finally opened her business account. The bank manager personally handled her account setup and apologized on behalf of the banking industry for what she had experienced. Within a month, Jasmine's Sweet Things officially opened its doors. The bakery was located in a renovated storefront downtown with big windows that let in morning light and a cheerful yellow awning. Inside, display cases showed off her grandmother's red velvet cake, her famous lemon bars, and dozens of other treats. The walls were painted a warm cream color, and local artwork hung in frames. It was everything Jasmine had dreamed of. On opening day, a line stretched down the block. Some people came because they had seen her on the news and wanted to support her. Others came because they had heard about her baking skills from friends and neighbors. Local business owners stopped by to welcome her to the neighborhood. Rebecca Chen from Channel 7 even stopped by with a camera crew to do a follow-up story. "How does it feel to finally be open?" Rebecca asked, filming Jasmine behind the counter in her apron, boxing up orders. "It feels amazing," Jasmine said, grinning. "This is what I've been working toward for so long. I'm just glad I didn't let one dishonest person stop me from achieving my dream." What would you say to other young entrepreneurs who might face similar challenges? Jasmine thought for a moment. "I'd say trust yourself. Do your research, ask questions, and if something feels wrong, don't ignore that feeling. Also, don't be afraid to speak up and ask for help. There are good people out there who want to see you succeed." The segment aired that evening, showing the bustling bakery and happy customers. It was a stark contrast to the earlier investigation segment, a story of triumph instead of victimization. Comments poured in online, with people praising Jasmine's resilience and saying they planned to visit her bakery. But beyond the attention and the success of opening day, what mattered most to Jasmine was knowing she had made a difference. 2 weeks after the news segment aired, she received a letter from a young woman named Aisha, who had seen the story. Aisha wrote that she had been planning to open a small business and had actually been scheduled to meet with Derek Thompson the week he was arrested. After seeing Jasmine's story, she had canceled that appointment and gone to a different bank where she had a positive experience. "Your courage to speak up probably saved me from being scammed," Aisha wrote. "Thank you for standing up not just for yourself, but for all of us." Jasmine pinned the letter on the bulletin board in her bakery's back office, next to her business license and the first dollar she had earned. It reminded her why speaking up had been important, even when it was scary and uncomfortable. The legal case against Derek Thompson moved forward steadily. The prosecutor's office kept Jasmine updated on the progress. Derek had initially tried to claim the premium accounts were a legitimate product that simply hadn't been properly documented by the bank. But the evidence was overwhelming. The hidden camera footage showed him explicitly lying about services. Bank records proved the money had gone into his personal accounts, not bank accounts. Testimony from dozens of victims established a clear pattern of fraud. 5 months after his arrest, Derek Thompson pleaded guilty to 15 counts of theft by deception and 5 counts of fraud. At his sentencing hearing, the judge allowed several victims to give impact statements. Jasmine attended the hearing, sitting in the courtroom gallery, though she chose not to speak. She had said everything she needed to say already. Other victims spoke about how the theft had impacted their lives and businesses. One man said the stolen money was supposed to be the down payment for equipment he needed. A young woman testified that she had gone into debt trying to make up for the stolen funds. Several people spoke about the emotional impact, the way being scammed had made them doubt themselves and feel foolish. The judge listened to all the statements before pronouncing sentence. Mr. Thompson, you held a position of trust. People came to you seeking help to achieve their dreams, and you exploited them. You specifically targeted vulnerable victims who you believe would not challenge you. This was not a momentary lapse in judgment, but a calculated, sustained pattern of theft. The court sentences you to 8 years in prison, followed by 5 years of probation. You are also ordered to pay full restitution to all victims. Derek Thompson showed no emotion as the sentence was read. He was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs, and Jasmine felt a sense of closure wash over her. Justice had been served. He would face consequences for his actions. But more importantly, the system had worked because people had spoken up, because she had trusted her instincts and refused to be silenced or intimidated, because a journalist had taken her complaint seriously and investigated thoroughly, because other victims had found the courage to come forward once they knew they weren't alone. In the months that followed, Jasmine focused on growing her bakery. Word spread quickly about the quality of her products. She hired 2 part-time employees to help with the increasing demand. A local coffee shop started carrying her muffins and scones. She catered birthday parties and wedding receptions. The business was thriving beyond her initial projections. She also became an advocate for consumer protection and financial literacy. She gave talks at local high schools about recognizing scams and understanding your rights when dealing with financial institutions. She partnered with a community organization that helped young entrepreneurs navigate the process of starting small businesses. She wanted to make sure others didn't face the same obstacles she had faced. One Saturday afternoon, 6 months after the bakery opened, Jasmine was working behind the counter when a young black man came in. He looked nervous, clutching a folder to his chest. He waited in line, ordered a coffee and a slice of red velvet cake, then approached Jasmine at the register. "Are you Jasmine Williams?" he asked quietly. "Yes, that's me. Is there something I can help you with?" "I saw you on the news. The story about the bank employee who tried to scam you." He glanced around, then continued. "Something similar just happened to me at a different bank. A loan officer told me I needed to pay a processing fee of $2,000 for a small business loan. But when I asked for documentation, he got defensive and pushy. I didn't pay it, but I didn't know if I was right to be suspicious. After seeing your story, I realized it was probably a scam." Jasmine felt anger rise in her chest. It was still happening, still targeting vulnerable people. But she took a breath and focused on helping this young man in front of her. "You are absolutely right to be suspicious. Legitimate loan processing fees are usually deducted from the loan amount or are much smaller and clearly documented. What bank was this?" He told her, and Jasmine immediately recognized it as a small regional bank. "Okay, here's what you need to do." She grabbed a notepad and started writing. "File a complaint with the State Banking Regulatory Agency. Here's their website and phone number. Also, contact the Consumer Protection Division of the Attorney General's office. Document everything you remember from your meeting, and consider reaching out to Rebecca Chen at Channel 7. She's still investigating predatory practices at financial institutions. The young man's eyes widened. Really? You think they'd investigate? Absolutely. This is exactly the kind of thing they care about. And the more people who speak up, the harder it is for these scammers to operate. She handed him the paper with all the contact information. Don't let them intimidate you or make you feel like you're overreacting. You have every right to question anything that seems suspicious. He smiled for the first time since entering the bakery. Thank you. Really. I was feeling like maybe I was being paranoid or making a big deal out of nothing. You're not. Trust yourself. And if you need help navigating the complaint process, feel free to come back. I've been through it all. As he left, Jasmine felt a sense of purpose that went beyond her bakery success. She had turned a negative experience into something positive. She had helped protect others from similar scams. She had proven that speaking up matters, that individual voices can create change. That evening, as Jasmine closed up the bakery, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. 9 months ago, she had walked into a bank with hope and excitement, only to encounter someone who tried to exploit her. She could have walked away quietly, discouraged and defeated. She could have given up on her dream or simply tried a different bank without reporting what happened. But she had chosen to fight back, to speak up, to demand accountability. And because of that choice, dozens of other victims had gotten justice and their money back. A criminal was in prison. Banks had changed their oversight procedures. Young entrepreneurs had learned to recognize warning signs, and she had achieved her dream of opening her bakery despite the obstacles. The experience had taught her important lessons about resilience, about the power of speaking truth, and about standing up not just for herself, but for others who might not have the resources or courage to fight back. It had shown her that individuals can make a difference, that systems can change, and that justice is possible when people refuse to accept wrongdoing silently. As she locked the bakery door and looked at her reflection in the glass, Jasmine smiled. The sign above her head read, "Jasmine's Sweet Things," in cheerful script letters. Inside, the cases were empty after another successful day. Tomorrow she would wake up early and start baking again, filling those cases with the treats that had made her business a success. But she would also continue speaking up, sharing her story, and helping others navigate the challenges of entrepreneurship, because that was just as important as any cake she could bake. That was the real sweetness, the real victory, not just achieving her own dream, but helping clear the path for others to achieve theirs too.